Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Bottom Line Show on this July 23rd. I
Sorry.
have the great Berea Cheney with me. Welcome.
Good
How you
morning.
doing?
Good morning. Doing really good. Doing good.
Yeah?
Yep, over here in Missouri. It's hot out here.
So we always have to start out with the weather reports of where
Yep.
we are. So especially this is actually going to be part of our topics is the weather, extreme weather happening around the world. Uh And it's happening sometimes in our own backyards. Now, here in Ohio, it hasn't been especially oppressive necessarily, but other parts around the country it has been. So, what is it like in Missouri? How has it been this last week?
This week it's been pretty hot. It's been pretty sizzling. I think it got up to 100 and today's going to be 101. It was 102
Really?
on Thursday.
Damn.
I know it's been hot. It's been really hot, but it's supposed to cool down next week, and we're even supposed to get a little rain on Monday. So that's cool. I'm not complaining about that at all. It's been hot, like hot. Like don't want to go out the house. Don't. But we've been moving, so we've had to really be out a lot. But it's been really hot outside. I think
So,
where Dad is, he's not here, but I think it was like 113 degrees or something there, wasn't it?
wow, was it 113? Goodness
In
gracious.
Dallas, I think so. I don't. I mean, I wasn't
Yeah,
there, but that's what the
that's just obscene there.
that
Uh,
was wild.
so the other news in your life is that you have moved, you're in a new space. You gave me a little bit. You gave me the 10-second tour. It looks nice. It looks like you have some space. It looks like you have that little
Mhm.
loft area. I called it a loft. It's not really a
Yeah,
loft.
it's a
So
dining
you're in
room.
new digs.
Yeah, it's a dining room and a kitchen until like when you walk in the living room is underneath it. So it's not underneath it, but it's down below it. Like it's back there. I can't really show. We have boxes and stuff, but one day when we get on the show, I will take the laptop and we'll walk around the house. We'll do a house.
Okay, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
Oh no. You're good.
wanted to share your good news that you
We are
got
really happy with it.
a new place, and
Yeah. It's our first home,
I
so I
think that's
think that's one
cool.
of the big exciting things. It's our
Oh,
first we still
were you
moved.
renting before?
Yep, we were in a townhouse. So we've been here I've been here for 4 years
Oh,
and
okay.
George has been here for 5 years. So this is our first home that we bought together and that we're, raising our family in. It's really awesome. We get to make new memories and it's a different it's a different feeling because we're not renting anymore. So that's cool.
Oh, okay.
It's
Cool, cool,
awesome.
cool.
We get to like do stuff to the house because no one can tell if we can. Like,
Awesome,
we
awesome.
were leaving, we're
Uh,
like, "Oh, man, the townhouse, we left the dishwasher thing is broken on the dishwasher." I'm like, "Oh, goodness."
okay.
Those are things you
Well,
freak out about when you're renting, like, you freak out about the dishwasher handle.
sometime we'll have to talk if you have uh
I would love to
home issues.
you home
I
improvements,
don't know
we can
what
do
wisdom I can offer, but I got my own opinions about owning a house. So, but
yeah.
we'll save that for another time.
What I will say is
We
we
do
should
wish you well.
thank you. I was gonna say we should get seriously, we should do an interview with someone who can give advice about like home buying, the home buying process, and like which type of loans you should be trying to seek when you're buying a house, things like that. For some that may not know, it was a new process for us, and I think that us doing like an interview with someone who's an expert in that area, that would be
Hmm.
really great for our show.
Yeah, we should. Uh, my kids keep telling me that they're never going to be able to own a house because of the change in generations and how they nowadays it's difficult to economically, just to being able to afford things, and their prospects are much more limited, according to my teenagers. So I keep saying, well, you know, owning a home's overrated anyway. So I hate to burst your bubble. To me, it is, but
It's a lot of
I'm glad you're
responsibility.
having fun though.
I will say this. I think that with the new generation, there's more opportunity for them to, um, it's more opportunity for them to invest and make a return on their investment. I think that there's more opportunity for them to flip houses. There's more opportunity for them to. It's not. We're in a time where income is not traditional anymore. Like you can pretty much make your own income. You can make how much money you want to make. And I
Mhm.
think it's easier for today's generation, not even my generation, but my little cousins who were like the 2000 babies. I think it's easier for them now because they haven't had to be they haven't been conditioned in a traditional way that we have to believe
Okay.
that the 9 to 5 is absolute. Like you can't do anything without that 9 to 5. This new generation, they can
Interesting.
start their own business. They can make a living literally off making TikTok videos, and it's second nature to them. It's second nature to them because they really don't know anything else. They see their parents do it, but they don't really know anything else because this is the era that they grew up in, you know?
Interesting.
So, they don't have that.
Interesting
It's just like that
perspective.
video with the I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but there's an ant, the person they put an ant on a paper, and the ant's crawling, and they draw lines in front of it, and the ant gets turned around because he doesn't realize the line isn't actually theirs. I mean, it's just on the paper. He doesn't realize it's not a real barrier. So, today, I feel like to today's generation, especially, like, my kids growing up, they're just not gonna have the same constraints that we have had growing up.
Interesting. I like your optimistic assessment there that things could be better and different for them, different in a good way. That they're not they don't have the same expectations. I keep
Mm,
saying, all right, so what? You can't afford a home, big deal, you know.
true. No.
Uh,
Yeah, but
so why do we keep saying that you have to do this? You have to get a 9 to 5 job. You have to get a house. You have to get married. You have to have kids.
I think
There's
owning
all these
something
there's
is
all these
essential
like
to pass down.
oh, so you pass it. It's owning something is important so that you have something to pass down.
Even if you're just owning it for the sake of making a return on that investment, like getting money from it, and then just when you die, you wanna have money to or some sort of value to pass down to your kids so that they don't have to start from the I feel like, so they don't have to start from the bottom, or their kids don't have to start from the bottom or, they get us I feel like that's what we look at normally, like, when I look at some of the I won't I won't say everybody, but I look at some of the communities out here, it's like old money in some of the communities
Mm,
in Kansas City. Like, this is a money that they had to acquire in one lifetime. This is like their grandparents' money.
okay.
When you look at these massive plots of land and, like, the driveways are, like, 20 miles long, got horses on this side. I'm not saying you need that, but I'm saying it's generational.
Interesting.
Someone didn't just go and buy it. This is it some of the land has, like, family names on it. Some of the land have, some of the lands here, they have the plots have cemeteries on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Family cemeteries. So, I don't know, I just look at it
You
like
see
that,
that a
like,
lot in rural areas. You'll see like
very
I'll
true.
drive past like a little cemetery that like nobody has been buried in for 100 years. It sits on somebody's property. It's just like maybe 10 gravestones, not even that, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Do you see
Yeah.
that?
No, yeah, awesome. A lot of I said awesome. No, not awesome. I see it a lot out here. We're in Lee Summit now. So before we were in Belton, it was really rural, but we're in Lee Summit, and there are some parts of Lee Summit that are Lee Summit is closer to the city, but it's still in an area where there's a lot of family land, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, so this one guy did buy a plot of land that was it was in the news. Like he bought this plot of land and it's huge. There's a cemetery on the land that uh he can't do any construction on that part of the house. So he owns the entire plot of land, but on this one part of his land, he can't do anything on because the cemetery is owned by the state or by the city or
Wow.
something. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
government land. So he has to be stuck with the cemetery. So the
Yeah,
house has been sitting there. He hasn't done anything to it.
here's a perspective from Leanne. She says, I don't expect my parents to leave me anything. I'm 38 years old, and they both still are here. If I waited to start my life with their money, I'd be in trouble. Yeah, indeed.
So
Uh,
go ahead.
So I mean, we have it. This is a topic that we kind of stumbled upon, but maybe we should try and have a guest about this someday. But it's just interesting how the different generations view things and view life and um, view their futures. So Leanne is kind of between us. I'm 52. She's 38. Are you 27?
I'm 27.
27.
Mhm.
So, it's interesting to hear like the different perspectives of what we expect out of our life and what we expect to do.
And I
It'd
think
be
it all has
interesting
to
to
do with
talk to
life experience.
somebody. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to talk to somebody who's a teenager and get their perspective about what they expect.
I will say
That's
this,
Go
I
ahead.
know that we haven't even got there to where we're like, um, I'm not just trying to throw race in there. However, I'm just gonna throw a little bit of it. I
Go ahead.
normally agree with Leanne. However, I would disagree here where I would say that generational wealth is something that Black people really strive for, and
Yeah.
that is just because for so long we were denied access to it.
Yeah.
For so long we were behind the ball with passing land and passing money and even passing heirlooms down. Like sometimes actually heirlooms was the only thing that Black people could pass down to their
Wow.
descendants. So I do think that in a general sense, I agree. If I'm not waiting for my parents to pass me anything because I'd be, I could in that time that I'm waiting, I could be doing something so much more meaningful and impactful, right? But on the level of being a Black woman in America and knowing what my grandparents and what their parents went through, just trying to even find, knowing that they were really smart, educated people, not being able to find a job that matched their knowledge that
Yeah.
fit them because of the color of their skin. It made it really, really hard for Black people to really even the most successful Black people who have had professors in school professors at a college or a doctor or whatever. It took them a long time to be able to get the kind of pay that their counterparts would make based on
Yeah.
the color of their skin. Makes it really hard to provide a security. Really, security is what it is for your for your kids and their kids and your grandkids, basically. So I point that out that it's not just I want to give my kids something. It is really I want to provide security. I have the opportunity now. George and I have the opportunity to provide security for our children.
Yeah.
And that's I think and it has nothing to do really with just buying a house. I mean, we look at everything from investing to whatever to, make sure that we're, securing a future for our children. That's all that is. So I just want to point that out.
So she agrees with your perspective. She understands it, I guess. And yeah, but so congratulations on owning a home at 27. I think that's great. We didn't own our home until we were 31, I think. So now we were in a different circumstance. She was in the military, so but anyways,
Yeah.
so we should look at our topics for today, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Our intros
Um,
always go really long, don't they?
what's that?
So our intros always go really long, don't they?
I don't think that I don't really mind that, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
So this week I kind of got uh, I kind of got myself on a viewing standpoint of maybe a bit obsessive with listening to some horrible stories around the country about women who are in high risk pregnancies that lost their baby in pregnancies that were not viable, and then how they were uh, the care and treatment and the medical care and treatment that they got because of the new laws that are off the books in some states, in many states, are now hampering doctors providing care for them. Um, and these are some just horrible stories. There's a woman in Texas, Louisiana, Wisconsin. We heard last week. We talked about the rape case in Ohio. of how she went to Indiana. So there's just a bunch of things going on out there. I have some videos that share some of those stories. So I'm going to just play them and we can comment.
A Texas woman was pregnant with twins, but at 15 weeks, one was delivered stillborn. She asked to abort the other because of a risk of infection, but she was denied by the hospital. And as the New York Times reports today, the woman returned to the hospital about 2 weeks later feeling sick. Her pregnancy was terminated out of concern for her health. She had to be admitted to the intensive care unit for sepsis and acute kidney injury, both life-threatening conditions. And that article offers an excruciating detail, the plight of numerous women who have encountered pregnancy complications and were denied abortion procedures until they themselves faced significant medical problems. And given the spate of abortion bans now enacted around the country, including one in Georgia just today, stories like that have become tragically increasingly common. And that is certainly the case in Louisiana, where an abortion ban in that state is on hold while a legal challenge plays out in court. Louisiana's abortion ban would make exceptions for the mother's health, as we're seeing elsewhere across the country. The law's language is extremely vague, and that complicates matters. In the case challenging the state's trigger ban, a doctor wrote in an affidavit that she had a patient who was 16 weeks pregnant when her water broke. The pregnancy was not viable, and continuing the pregnancy could be life-threatening to her. The patient requested an abortion. But citing Louisiana's new abortion ban, the doctor's attorney advised against it. So according to the affidavit, the doctor wrote that the patient, quote, was forced to go through a painful, hours-long labor to deliver a non-viable fetus despite her wishes and best medical advice from doctors. She hemorrhaged. She lost nearly a liter of blood. And in another affidavit in the case, Dr. Rebecca Gee, the former Louisiana health secretary, expressed her profound concerns regarding life-saving treatment for women under the state's ban, saying in part, quote, if doctors are not comfortable or able to anticipate the legal implications of their medical care or how they may be prosecuted for providing that health care, then they may not act according to their best medical judgment and training. Fear of punishment, aligned with lack of clarity on how this law will be enforced, can lead to devastating consequences for Louisiana women, as well as moral distress for the clinicians who care for them and have taken the Hippocratic oath to do no harm. Joining us now is...
So there's an interview after that, and some of these stories are just excruciating, and it adds a physical trauma to your emotional trauma that you've already experienced. And I don't mean to get personal or anything. I know that this is a sensitive topic for many women out there, many couples out there, many people that want to have a child and have had an experience like this, and this just adds to it. Imagine being that woman in Texas, and it could be 15, 20 years from now, and that person has kidney problems because of something that happened to them when they were 30, when they had this aborted pregnancy. This is 2022. Can't we do better? Can't we do better in this country? This is absolutely ridiculous to me that women are made to suffer, and doctors have to ask lawyers if they can proceed with helping a patient in the hospital, and then they have to wait hours and sometimes days when they are sent home. There was one woman who was sent home for like 2 days, and she was bleeding in her bathtub. I mean, come on. These are just this is bad stuff. These pregnancies are not viable. They would not result in a birth of a child. So can we agree that doing what's in the best interest of the woman is what should be done? I just can't believe this.
Yeah, I can't believe this is a conversation. It was one thing when I thought it was wrong all around, but it was one thing when they were arguing, a heartbeat, or they were arguing, it's a viable pregnancy, or this or it's too late in a pregnancy to abort. Like that's one thing when they were arguing that, but now we are talking about the right to live. We're talking about a woman's right to quality health care. And that this puts, even if you go to the best hospital in the world, you're not getting the best quality health care because your doctor is afraid to even do what he feels is right or she feels is right for you to keep you alive. I think it's crazy, and I think that this is based on ignorance and misinformation and just a general lack of education. Because how can you tell a doctor how to do their job and you're not a doctor and you don't know how the female body works? You know nothing about you know nothing about babies and birth other than that you don't want women to abort a pregnancy. It makes no sense that you would keep a woman from getting her womb cleaned out after having a unplanned miscarriage or a spontaneous abortion. The fact that you would not save a woman's life knowing that this pregnancy probably won't even carry to term.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's really heartbreaking that it's America, you know?
It's hard to believe that this is in America. Leanne says, I think a lot of these pro-life people don't even understand what abortion is. They don't realize that after a miscarriage, some women need an abortion. They don't realize that an ectopic pregnancy needs an abortion.
Yeah.
Indeed. Um, and like you said, it's an astounding lack of education. Um, I've I've actually been enlightened to a lot of this stuff in the last month or so after the Roe v. Wade, and the failure to see the implications of this is astounding to me. So
Mhm.
they didn't. I mean, they didn't know that there would be young girls that would be raped,
Right.
10, 11 years old, and
Cop out.
so they didn't know that that happened. They didn't know what an ectopic pregnancy is. People don't know. All it takes is a simple Google search, and it's just astounding to me.
I don't think it's even I think that I think they saw this coming. I think they just didn't care. We've been talking about this since it was a converse since it was before Roe v. Wade was overturned. We've been talking about how banning abortion is not going to it's just going to cause a ripple effect of terrible things for women. Um, Women are going to die. Women are going to seek abortions anyway and die. Like that's going to happen anyway. Women are going to be denied abortions when they really need them. We know this. We've been talking about this for a while now, and all that's happening right now is it's coming to fruition. We're seeing it happen.
Yep.
We're seeing it happen in real time.
So there was some other stories in regards to Roe v. Wade being overturned. Apparently, Indiana in Indiana there was two other very young girls, 11 years old,
Mhm.
that had
I think one was 10.
abortions in the state. The abortion doctor was made public in Indiana by the Indiana Attorney General (AG). Um, he threatened to go after her for not reporting, even though she did. So that made news this week. Um, there was a
But
story. Go
mm,
ahead.
sorry, no.
I mean, there there was a story about how somebody was assaulted and got pregnant, and she wanted to be sterilized. She wanted to be sterilized so that if she would ever be raped again, that she would not get pregnant and have to go through this again. So there's people out there that are scared of getting pregnant, and I can't say as if I blame them. If you're a woman who has had uh, problems and issues, why there is reason to be scared now.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, I think it just is a game changer because and I don't think people realize this. Not only um, couples actively seek abortions as well. It's not just a woman. Oh, I'm just a woman alone, and I want to get an abortion. That first off, it's a hard decision to make. But married couples, long-term life partners, they make decisions to get abortions as well. So this is gonna change. This changes everything for anybody in a relationship with someone who is of childbearing age, anybody that's of childbearing age. It changes everything. It changes everything because no one's. It's I know. I'm sorry. There are some states that do allow it, and you have to travel to these states. But what about those states that are banning it? And people can't get to these abortion clinics. People can't get they can't get to where they need to go to get an abortion. Thankfully, there have been some employers who have offered to pay for the transportation fees, um, and paying for their employees to get to an abortion clinic in a state that allows it. But that's not everybody. So where does that leave the women who really need to who need to get one and can't?
So people might think to themselves, well, I don't know anyone that got an abortion, or nobody in my family has done that, or this and that. But you might be surprised by the stats. Statistically speaking, what is it? A quarter or a fifth, something like that, according to some statistics. So if that's true, just like go into the grocery store, or just as you see people walking by, and and think about how many people that is. These, I knew about high risk pregnancy and stuff like that, but I didn't know to what extent these things affect people. And I'm over 50 years old. I should be aware of the world and the way things work, but a lot of people are pretty ignorant when it comes to women's health. They just are. A lot of men are. They're
So
ignorant.
1 in 5
These
Americans.
things are common. These things are common. And to dismiss it, to say, well, the rape, the young 11-year-old girl is a rare case. There was a testimony this week that this woman in the pro-life movement, the so-called pro-life movement, said that, well, if there would have been an allowance for that 10-year-old in Ohio, that in that case, it's not an abortion. And so what is it? What is it
That was
then?
heartbreaking to see.
That is just ridiculous. Oh, well, in that case, it's not an abortion. We're not going to call it an abortion because we think that it's justified. So what is it?
Yeah, it's still an
Is this the
abortion.
first time that this has happened? No. Is it going to be the last time that this is going to happen? No. It might be a rare case, but like I said last week, you put all these rare cases together of problem pregnancies, of genetic disorders, of ectopic pregnancies, of DNCs that are happening around the country. That's thousands of people, thousands of couples. And the other thing I want to say is that
But
you
that's
mentioned.
not an abortion. That's where this gets me. That's where this confuses me. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It's not an abortion. um, that's why that's why it makes me so angry, because okay, I believe it's 1 in 4. Thank you. Because yeah, okay. Thank you. That would need abortion. Yeah. I say it should be anti-choice, not pro-life. Exactly. But that's the thing that gets me, that makes me mad, is you've already miscarried, or you have an ectopic pregnancy.
And when that happens to you, the chances are that next time it's more likely next time that it'll happen to you. If you've had problem pregnancies in the past, am I right? It's more likely that you might have it in the future.
It's a tricky subject. I know, like, for women who've had miscarriages, unless you have like so any healthy woman with a healthy uterus can have normally like 4 miscarriages, and that's normal. 3 or 4.
Wow.
And usually after that point,
think about that
within your lifetime of childbearing age. In fact, some of these miscarriages you don't even know that you have. So that's something to keep in mind. And sometimes it's let's say considered a miscarriage is an egg implants, but it is a chemical pregnancy where it doesn't take, and it dies. You think you're pregnant, and then it goes away. A lot of times the women have had miscarriages or chemical pregnancies and they don't even know. So I learned this by when George and not trying to get personal, but George and I were trying to conceive my second child, I learned about this kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah. So it's one of those things that's is it normal? I wouldn't say normal, but any healthy woman could have miscarriages and still carry 4 miscarriages and still carry out a healthy pregnancy and have many more children. Now, for complicated things like women who have endometriosis, women who have fibroids, other reproductive problems,
Gestational diabetes.
which would happen during pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that could cause a
High
lot of
blood
issues
pressure.
where you might need. Yeah. I would say that, I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but I I feel like this is let's just take it back to where you needing a DNC, you needing to have an ectopic pregnancy, pregnancy removed from your fallopian tubes, a fetus removed from your, is it a fetus at that point, or is it
It's a fertilized egg.
a fertilized egg in your
I
fallopian
don't.
tube? You needing those removed, that's not an abortion. Would a doctor consider that to be an abortion, or would that be just a life-saving surgery or abortion services, sort of? Because the pregnancy
The
isn't
lawmakers
viable.
consider it, because if they're going to consider life starts at conception, then that would be an abortion.
But if there is no, but if so, what is abortion? Is ending a pregnancy, is stopping a pregnancy. But whether the fetus is viable or not. Okay, because I'm like, if the fetus is not alive, there's no heartbeat, there's
Well,
no.
here's an interesting tidbit of fact.
How is that an
Medically, I
abortion?
believe that medically, when you might have a miscarriage, it used to be written up as a spontaneous abortion. Am I
Yeah,
wrong about that?
that's
So a
what I was
doctor would
told.
write on
That's
your
what I was told.
chart, you aborted a pregnancy because it just was not viable. Your body did not carry that pregnancy.
And I want to be clear, the reason why I'm making the argument that it's not an abortion is just simply based on the fact that the baby is not alive. Or this egg would have never turned into a baby at all if it was in your fallopian tubes. Most likely you would die before that happens, because you are losing so much blood, or a fallopian tube literally bursted within your body, causing a massive loss of blood, which we've seen before. I know a few people who have had ectopic pregnancies and flat out passed out and didn't know and had to be rushed to the emergency room to find out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just think that in these situations, like, why is this even a conversation? Why is this even a problem? If this is going to save this woman's life, why are you scaring doctors into not performing these procedures?
They don't want to get sued. They don't want to lose their license. This is their livelihood. So if you're
I
a
get
doctor,
that, but why is the language vague? So vague that you just, why is the language in
this
these
is why
laws
we need
so
this is
vague?
why we do need to
Don't
make
proceed like that.
exceptions for the health of the mother. It's needed. It is needed. It is necessary. You need to, for the women, for the doctors, for the hospital, for the couple. I mean, there's
So,
a couple. You mentioned married couples, and
mhm,
consider somebody who already has children, and it's her third or fourth pregnancy, and there's an issue. So, would you risk your life, your wife's life, to try and, um, at all cost, deliver this baby, and risk your life so you're not there for your
other
kids
children.
that you already have?
Right. This is the conversation that happens. I don't think people realize the other side of it, but a lot of married couples have to make decisions like this.
I wouldn't.
They have to make decisions like this, where it's like, we wanted this baby, but uh, we have to end this pregnancy because it's not healthy for you. And that's one of the hard decisions that you have to make. And I feel like,
But
honestly, I'd say this. I'm not trying to pick a side, sway on the other side, but I would say that half of the people I know in my life would choose to have the baby and risk it all. and the other half of people in my
Really?
life would not want to leave their children behind.
I
Not
couldn't
risk living,
imagine
leaving
trying
their children
to
behind.
uh, having to
I
choose
know
that,
through some,
and then you're a single father.
yeah.
I mean, I just couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do that.
So back to this really quick. So I understand. So any removal of fertilized eggs and abortion. So I get that, but I think that I just always raise that argument because um, I don't feel like it should be considered under this for the purpose of Roe v. Wade being overturned. I just don't think that it should be considered, and that's why I say it's not an abortion. So I'm not saying like I don't understand what abortion is. Like I do understand it. I just don't think it should be considered um, at all under the banning of abortions. I think that it should be an exception when it comes to the woman's health.
Okay,
Just to go back to that.
I
But yeah,
understand
no,
what you're saying.
yeah, I think I think there are a lot of different perspectives of abortion that we don't consider, which is that um one, I think it's a common misconception that women get abortions and it's an easy choice to make. Like they just say, "Oh, I don't want a baby, so I want to get an abortion." And I think that that's something that we have to really drive home that that's not how it is. An abortion is not an easy decision to make. So even when the pregnancy is viable and a woman wants to get an abortion, it's
Okay,
it's not an easy decision to make. No woman just wakes up one day and says she wants to remove this baby from her womb. It's more
right,
a life decision of, can you support a child? Are you ready to have a child right now?
right.
What does this mean for you? When the child gets here, how are you going to care for it? And honestly, I feel like that's a choice that women should be able to make.
Leanne says, I think people that want an abortion should be able to access one. Their reasoning is not my business. This is the original ruling of Roe v. Wade was a privacy issue.
Right.
Um, so that that's really what it boils down to, or what it did boil down to. Now we're into all this other stuff, um, talking about viability and this and that. But really, it's none of my business. It's not my business what my neighbor does, or what the person across town does, or what the person in another state does, or um, the government should not be in the business of trying to determine what is best for your life, what is best for you medically either.
Right.
So, it, and again, I think I've said this on this show, is that you can't force your beliefs upon somebody else.
Mm.
If I believe that life starts when a bunch of cells begin to vibrate, resembling a heartbeat, then that's my belief. Should I force that belief upon you?
Right.
So, I mean, I happen to believe that there's something to be said for when a baby takes her first breath and is actually born. That's actually, religiously speaking, what the institutional church of the Roman Catholic Church practices. They believe that when somebody takes their first breath, that is when uh, life enters that person and a soul is in this world.
Hmm.
And it's something to be said for that, because they will not baptize someone who's never taken a breath.
Oh,
So
right.
they're being inconsistent when the church says that, well, life begins at conception, but so why wouldn't they baptize a stillborn baby that's never taken a breath? Something to think about.
I never looked
Something to
at it
think
like that.
about. What's that?
I never looked at it like that.
Well, it's interesting if you look back on the. So I've listened to a lot of things recently. If you're looking back on the Roe v. Wade decision, it used to be um, religious institutions used to be in favor of this. Is in the 60s and 70s when when it first became a thing. Roe v. Wade, 73. Um, it was actually some church institutions that backed this because it was a healthcare issue, and it was a civil rights issue. Um, so, and then, of course, the over the years, particularly in the 80s, it began to become a so-called Christian issue, right? Pro-life, and
So
so
why though?
now we have evangelical Christians who are unapologetically uh, anti-abortion.
You know what makes me so confused too about this is when did this no, let me rephrase that. Okay, looking at the I'm looking at the number, ratio, and rate of reported induced abortions in the United States between 1980 and 2019. The CDC reports that, I mean, it's showing each year the amount of abortions that they go down.
Yes,
The
but
rate of abortion
the rate of
decreased
abortion has been going
significantly.
down for at least 20 years, maybe longer than that. Because I do check these things.
In
I do
1980, there were
care about
over.
this issue. I don't like abortion. Um, I
So if there's
would if
not a
somebody
problem,
came. Go ahead.
sorry, I'm just saying it looks like so there were over a million abortions in 1980. Let's go down. Let's just go back. Let's just go down to 20 let's go to 2010. 765,000. 2019, 629,000.
Okay, and
So
consider that the population has been going up, right?
right. Yeah.
So if in 1980 you said there was a million, and now there's what 600,000. So
Yeah.
the percentage of eligible people who can have an abortion compared to live births has been going down consistently. And so the what has been proven over the years to reduce abortion is education, sex education, contraceptive access to contraception.
Mhm.
Um, they know this. We know this based on decades of research. Uh, so that's a good thing, by the way. I'm not for abortion. If someone came to me, I'm a minister. Someone came to me and said, "I think I would like to get an abortion." I would say, "Well, have you considered adoption?" That's what I would say. That's my counsel to people. I don't. This isn't something that I take lightly. Okay.
A lot of
Um,
schools.
a lot of
Leanne,
schools are want to go to an abstinence educational um,
why would
emphasis.
you do that? Why would you want to do that?
Why would you want to give your kids
What
less
is that?
information? Why would you want to give your kids less information? You
I'm not understanding.
always err on the side of giving your kids as much information as possible.
Why would you take something out of school that's going to prevent underage pregnancies, adolescent pregnancies? Why would you want to take that portion of education out of the school that would prevent that or lower that risk?
Well,
I was watching this video, and this is actually it's actually unrelated. This has lots to do with. I don't want to. I know we've moved past this, and you're probably going to be like, Bria, why did you bring this up? But I was watching this video on critical race theory, and that this is basically for what was this? You know what? Maybe I shouldn't bring it up because I don't know all the specifics. But basically, it was a hearing, and I don't even know what state it was in, so I guess I shouldn't bring this up. But there
is
was
it
he
the
was
Scopes
basically
monkey trial? No.
I don't know. It was he was basically asking. He was saying, okay, why would you want? He was basically going through the bill, and the House of Representatives passed a bill, and then the Senate went and revised the bill and took a lot of things out. So he was going over the revised bill, and he was saying, I don't know if I'm even getting this right, but he was saying that they took out any mentions of women, people of color. They took out any mentions of women, people of color, and only kept in and took out any mentions of white supremacy. And he was saying,
I'd have to
if
know.
you're a
I want to
person,
know
I gotta
specifically
find
what
that
this
video.
is.
I wish I wouldn't brought it up. I gotta find that video. But he was
What I
saying
go
the
ahead.
point that he made was, why would a country that agrees that white supremacy is bad take out a line that says white supremacy is bad out of a textbook? You
Because it
know?
offends people.
And he was saying maybe
It
this
offends
is their
white
way of
people.
trying to, you know, establish white supremacy once again. That's what he was saying. So I have to find the video. And it was a recent video. I just don't know what state it was in. I don't know what state it was in.
Well, going back one real quickly, and then we can move on to the next thing. I
Mhm.
did see a documentary about one of the leaders of the early so-called pro-life movement in the 70s and 80s now regrets what he did to make this such an issue as it is today. So he actually has changed his mind and regrets what this has become now in our country. Such a wedge issue and such a point of contention, abortion. I don't see a way. What I think, to sum this up, what I think is we need to definitely make exceptions for the health of the mother, for sure, and in rape and incest. That has to be foundational. You might say, well, Darren, that's rare. Rare is still valid. Okay, so it's 1 in 40, 1 in 30, 1 in 20. That's a low percentage, but it's still valid because you know what? It affects thousands of people and it affects their families. So just because it's rare doesn't mean we shouldn't worry about it. That's all I got to say. The guy that made that documentary, I saw that interview. Yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing here, Leon.
I'll have to go. You don't know the name of it?
He's done some interviews with news agencies. I think one of the ones I saw it on was called Democracy Now. I listened to their stuff on YouTube and their podcast. They usually come out with like 20, 30-minute segments of like one topic at a time, and they do a good job. It's called Democracy Now, their show.
Okay.
The interview I saw was on CNN. Okay.
Okay. Okay, what's next?
But I forget that gentleman's name, but I can get that later. Well, how about wait, we just lost something here. Bannon, here it is.
Oh, okay, I moved it. Sorry.
Here we go.
We're here. We might
Remember this guy? Well,
Bannon.
he might be going to jail. He was found guilty of contempt of Congress.
Oh, I saw that.
So here's our video, and then we'll comment.
Presidential advisor Steve Bannon has been found guilty on 2 counts here in Washington, D.C. The Trump presidential advisor was under trial here in Washington for his failure to respond to a subpoena from the January 6th committee looking into the attack on the Capitol on January 6th of 2021. Steve Bannon found guilty now on count 1, that is willful failure to appear for testimony. Also found guilty on count 2. Count 2 is contempt of Congress, willful failure to provide records. Now, you know that Steve Bannon was somebody that the committee did want to speak to, and we saw in the committee's hearing last night, they played an audio recording of the presidential advisor to Donald Trump. In that recording, what Steve Bannon was saying was that before the election, Donald Trump planned to contest the election results if they didn't go his way. That is, he would say the vote was illegitimate if he wasn't winning at a certain point on election night. And because that's the way things actually played out, you can imagine that the January 6th committee would have wanted to hear Steve Bannon's testimony on the question of exactly how he knew that that was going to be Donald Trump's plan going forward. Bannon refusing to testify, now being found guilty. We'll wait for additional maneuvering here in the court. No information just yet on any sentencing. Guys, back over to you.
So I have to admit, I so want him to go to jail for at least a month, just to see that. This guy is so arrogant and thinks he's above the law, and he really rubs me the wrong way. There's plenty of people there's plenty of people in the Trump circle to bang on. Bannon is for me one of the worst.
I was looking at him, looking the story up on the internet. Yeah, I mean, I think that in the beginning of all of this, I was like, oh, I don't think anything's going to come up of these hearings. I think that is just a show to make an example.
It is a
But it's
show, but
getting
I think there is
serious.
some things that
It's getting kind of
happening.
serious. It's getting kind of serious. Yeah, it's. I think that these subpoenas go out and they think they can just ignore them, and then nothing's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Why would they
Yeah,
think
like
they're
they
above the
like
United
they see
States?
they're arrogant, they think they're above the law, they think what they
Yeah.
did was nothing wrong. Can we start a chant, Joe?
Lock
Can we
him
start a
up.
chant?
Lock
Lock
him
him up?
up.
Is
Hi,
that
Joe.
would that be in poor taste?
No,
Maria, would that be in poor taste?
I don't think it would be. I think that we're gonna. So I missed the last. Like as we've been moving, so I haven't been watching any news. Pretty much, I haven't watched any. The last I watched the hearings. The last January 6th hearing I saw was testimony from the. Oh my gosh, what is her name? The
We're
woman
starting to
who.
chant here.
What is her name? The woman who worked for the for election board of the elections.
In Georgia? The woman in
Yeah,
Georgia?
I think so. And then her grandmother was the people like the Trumpers went into her house and tried to do a citizen's
Yep.
arrest or something like that.
Yep.
Like that's the last January 6th hearing I've heard. So I'm
Didn't she
behind.
move? I think she moved, didn't it? The election, Miss Ruby.
Yes, I don't know.
So
That's
here, I
the
mean,
last thing I saw. So I've been hearing little things here and there, but I haven't seen much. So I'm behind.
yeah,
And
let's
it's
start it.
because
We're
I
chanting. We're
didn't know about
chanting.
this till yesterday. Lock
Lock
him
them
up.
up.
Lock him
So I,
I feel like this has been
you
said.
can't believe that
Who said
Trump
this?
could actually run again with all the facts coming out about what he did. He doesn't care.
He's gonna run again. He has. You should see his
He's
rallies
he's
are
already
packed.
said he's made a decision. He's just waiting for the right time
I
to announce it.
know. I
So
need to.
you
I
know that he's
know.
going to run again.
I am
You
hearing
know it.
some juicy things about this, Leanne. Like I need to go back and watch the things that I've missed. I need to be tuning in because I'm hearing things every day and I'm just like, that happened? Like what? Huh? What? I have got to
Steve
get back
Bannon.
in touch.
Yep.
They
Steve
are
Bannon.
juicy, yeah.
So something else that came out with the hearings on Thursday night. So if you woke up on Friday and you heard like a collective
Laughter.
exasperation and laughter, it was because of this. So here we go. And I'm going to keep my microphone on here because this is good stuff.
Okay, a little reaction video.
Yes.
Senator Josh Hawley also had to flee. Earlier that afternoon, before the joint session started, he walked across the east front of the Capitol. As you can see in this photo, he raised his fist in solidarity with the protesters already amassing at the security gates. We spoke with a Capitol police officer who was out there at the time. She told us that Senator Hawley's gesture riled up the crowd, and it bothered her greatly because he was doing it in a safe space, protected by the officers and the barriers. Later that day, Senator Hawley fled after those protesters he helped to rile up stormed the Capitol. See for yourself.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So we started to get some echo feedback. I tried to was going to comment during it, but you see, he's like with that pose. He's got his chest puffed up. He's like, yeah, and then he's like, dude, they had to slow it down. They had to slow it down to be in slow motion. It's like, wait, who was that? Man, he was sprinting. He was sprinting.
Do you see the cameras in the room?
Wait a minute. We have to slow it down. Yep. That's Josh Hawley.
That's
And
him.
then going down the stairs, he's like, "Get out of my way! Get out of my way!" The guy was like, looking at him, like, "Oh, okay, okay." And then they played it for the room full of people who laughed at him.
That's embarrassing. That's really now. Okay, Josh Hawley. I said that was it's Missouri, right?
Yep.
Not Kansas. Okay, so okay. He's okay, gotcha. Missouri senator. So let me just say I said Missouri earlier but wasn't sure. So we're in Kansas City, so like we're right on the border. So I'm always seeing like Hawley commercials and stuff like that. And I just can never tell if it's coming from the Kansas side or the Missouri side. And I should know this. I should know who my leaders are in my state. I understand. Yeah. Embarrassing. So anyway, that's embarrassing though. That's not the fist in the air and then you're on camera running. So my question is, because I'm behind, does he have to testify or they're like, who are they going after? Like who's next up on the
I don't know.
well, let me take a
But
look.
this guy, some people had, of course, it's going to be instant. It's instant meme material. And if you go out on the
Yeah.
internet, there's people playing like the Chariots of Fire theme with him, and I mean, this guy, just to review, was out speaking to the crowd, getting them riled up, and then
Oh, it's over.
he
Sorry.
gives them he flashes the fist sign, getting people to cheer, right, getting him riled up from the safety behind the barricades, and then he runs away from his own supporters. So your actions. Now, to be serious now, your actions are always going to speak louder than your words.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think this whole thing was just really ridiculous. I can't believe it's happening in America. It's so embarrassing. It's just such a dirty little stain on our country. I mean, yeah. I mean, we got a lot of dirt, but this is like for it to be 2022 and this happening is so embarrassing. Joe,
People see us
it's so
and
bad. I just don't
different
even
countries
understand it.
are laughing.
It's really embarrassing. Like,
Leanne says, "Why don't we care?" I care for sure. I'm just saying
you
that we have long since passed, years long since passed. We crossed the line between what is reality for these people. Okay,
Yeah.
there is nothing that will. I'm being serious now. I know we just had that little laugh, but there we are long since past where these people will believe reality, and these people meaning that ardent Trump supporters and Trump himself, and those who will. It doesn't matter what the hearings, what comes out in the hearings. It doesn't matter what is said about him. They will support him.
Yeah.
It is true that he could walk out to Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and people will still support him.
That is really sad, but that's one of the comments Leanne made earlier was the facts don't matter. It's about their feelings, and that's so true. It's
And
very
this goes back to the point, and maybe somebody out there can help me with this. Is honestly, I haven't been watching. I have not ever watched a live presentation of the hearings, and it's now in its eighth chapter or eighth
I think
evening.
I just read that it's ending,
It's
right?
like it.
Coming to a close.
So I think it's ending. Yeah. So, and the
Missed all
reason
the
why is
details.
because I know that it's not going to amount. It's not going to amount to a hill of beans, as my dad used to say. It just isn't. The people that believe that he was crazy and dangerous are just going to believe that even more. The amount of people that are going to have their minds changed and see what this was really like and what this really was, it might be a 0.0 some percent of people. There have been people that have come around.
Basically,
But
anybody
it's
that's a
not going to
Trump
make any
supporter isn't gonna change
difference,
their mind.
folks. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but this is not going to make any difference. We might see Steve Bannon go to jail. We might see some things happen. It's not going to be to Trump. It's not going to be to Trump. We're
My
not going to
thing
see
is,
Trump
why is there
testify. We're
not
not going to see
a,
Trump charged.
I was
I'm
gonna say, I think
sorry.
that's what everybody really wanted. It's way far fetched. Like I didn't think it was gonna happen either, but a little part of me, just a little tiny little part of me hoped that there would be some consequence for him. But I mean, it's not realistic, really. You
Joe, I
know?
think is saying that there's 30% of people out there that support him. Leanne, I think, is saying it's ninth. Are we on the ninth one that's coming this week? It's done in September. Liz Cheney, I actually give her a lot of credit. I know that policy-wise, her and I would not see eye to eye. However, I give her a lot of credit for her work here and being honest with the American people. And it goes a long way in this age of partisanship where you vote down party lines and you toe the party line no matter what. That Liz Cheney, someone who is very conservative policy-wise, comes forward
Yeah.
and is a driving force behind this. Is trying hard to speak to his supporters and tell them that they were tricked, but it isn't their fault they believed him.
But this 30%, and that 30% are leaders of our government that have power to do things.
People like Josh Hawley.
Yes, I mean, okay. But seriously, on a serious note, it would be different if it was 30% of America and then it just didn't, they weren't people in high places of power that make a difference. But these people are voted into an office and they make our laws. And now they're on our Supreme Court.
So I want to pivot
That's
to
a lie.
another
Like they're going to be there
political
until they
thing.
die, or retire. So
I want to pivot to another candidate, and this is Dr. Oz, and he's running against somebody who is doing a brilliant job of trolling him online and actually doing a very good job in campaigning. And there's an ad about Dr. Oz. John Fetterman is his opponent, and this is kind of funny. I want to play this for us here.
We've got the latest ad by the liberal PAC Midas Touch, and it goes after Republican Pennsylvania Senate candidate Dr. Mehmet Oz in a new ad entitled "The Wizard of Lies." Take a look.
We'd like you to keep your promise to us, if you please, sir.
And now I've got the #1 miracle in a bottle to burn your fat. It is the new Miracle Berry. Lightning in a bottle. The miracle of the year. It's raspberry ketone, sea buckthorn, alpha cyclodextrin, green coffee bean extract, yacon syrup, red palm oil, Garcinia cambogia. It's a miracle flower. This miracle pill, brand new miracle.
Do you believe that there's a miracle pill out there?
There's not a pill that's going to help you long-term lose weight and live the best life without diet and exercise.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
You may think magic is make-believe, but this little bean has scientists saying they found the magic weight loss cure for every body type.
A recent study found the main ingredient in those magic beans not only failed to help lab mice, it gave them the early symptoms of diabetes.
I'll fight to secure the border so we don't have to fly illegal immigrants into airports like this in the middle of the night.
He actually had to pay the largest fine in American history for employing undocumented workers. $95 million? I can't even believe this figure.
I'm a resident of Montgomery County. I voted twice, so I feel big time Pennsylvania.
For years, he's lived in New Jersey, and his social media still frequently shows him at his North Jersey mansion. So he is running for office in a state he doesn't seem to want to live in.
You humbug!
He's completely changed his positions on just about every issue.
At this point, Bill Cosby is a more credible TV doctor.
I know you know how much power you have. You are very powerful.
If you are really great and powerful, you keep your promises.
Physicians say Dr. Oz is a quack and a charlatan.
The only thing that people like Dr. Oz care about is themselves.
You're a very bad man.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Mehmet Oz, candidate for your United States Senate out of the state.
How
of
did you
Pennsylvania.
find this? Was this like this was on TV? Like this is a commercial?
That's an actual commercial, yeah.
That is the best like smear campaign ad I've ever seen in my life.
Since I already heard this, I got more of a kick watching your face. That was funny.
The worst part is this. I'm gonna be real honest because this gets a little personal for me. I'm not really a big Dr. Oz person. However, I have watched a lot of his shows and have taken his advice on.
Okay.
Every woman has gone through a weight loss. Most of us are actively trying to lose weight on a regular basis, right? So, Garcinia Cambogia. The berry, whatever berry was stuck. I've probably tried the coffee extract. So as I'm watching this and then knowing that it's a commercial for or ad for lies, I'm like, it's not real. I mean, I think that, celebrities have really pushed some of these methods out there. I really do. But a lot of it was from Dr. Oz. That's not that I believe in any miracle weight loss drug, no, or pill, whatever. No, I don't. I know you have to put in the work. I'm just saying that I have definitely bought raspberry ketones. It's just so funny because I've definitely bought into like over
You
half
have that?
of the
You have that
things that
stuff?
Do I?
So
Over
I
the
want to.
years.
So if you're out there, make Bria feel better. If you are also have this in your medicine cabinet and
That is so funny.
have got this before.
It's so funny the way that he's going down the list, and I'm just like, look at my medicine cabinet. And I'm with Dorothy. You are a very bad man. That was genius. That was genius. That ad was amazing. I laughed and felt shame all at the same time. Oh, because I mean, I don't watch Dr. Oz all like that, but I do know people who watch him. And I've seen definitely a few of his segments. And I honestly had never really considered his political party or any of the scandals that he's been in, just because I don't really pay much attention to him. So I had no idea he was this type of person.
Well, he's running for office now, so these things are going to be coming back to bite him, and it's one of those like Senate races or that's going to get national attention because it is Dr. Oz, and I don't think he's going to win. I really don't. I really can't see that he's going to win after all this.
How much money did they put into this production? It was amazing. I guess you could just copy and paste and stuff like that, I suppose. Today, if anything is possible, but that was really good.
Who owns the rights to Wizard of Oz? It's over 50 years old, so I don't know.
Have you seen Caitlyn Jenner's talking points for governor run for California?
No.
For governor. Oh man, she's like the biggest walking contradiction I've ever in my life seen.
Is that happening this fall? The California governor race?
I don't really know. I got to be honest. I'm not really.
Somebody help us out here.
Stuff. I'm looking.
California governor race. Let's see.
I'm so Tuesday, November 8th. Okay. Yep, November.
So apparently, so Gavin Newsom, is this happening in the fall?
I'm trying to see what.
Brian Dahl is a Republican running against him.
Oh, was that
So
last year? Is she not running for governor
that's last
anymore?
year.
I'm sorry, y'all. I just saw a video of her.
I
Okay,
can't see
I'll look
many
it up
people
real
taking
fast.
her seriously in California. That's not going to fly.
I thought she was. I
Caitlyn
swore she was
Jenner.
running again. Sorry for good
Well,
typing.
I hate to go from there to something depressing.
Oh yeah.
Where should we go? Should we go to
Oh,
Ted Cruz or should we go to climate change?
I mean, I think we just hit climate change. Climate change.
Okay.
Let's go to Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz? Okay, here's a Ted
And
Cruz.
he's talking about gay marriage and right.
If you were in this role as an advocate and Obergefell was in front of the Supreme Court again in some way, what would be the vulnerability of this case? What would be the argument against this case or the argument for overturning it?
So look, Obergefell, like Roe versus Wade, ignored 2 centuries of our nation's history. Marriage was always an issue that was left to the states. We saw states before Obergefell that were moving. Some states were moving to allow gay marriage. Other states were moving to allow civil partnerships. There were different standards that the states were adopting. And had the court not ruled in Obergefell, the democratic process would have continued to operate, that if you believed gay marriage was a good idea, the way the Constitution set up for you to advance that position is convince your fellow citizens. And if you succeeded in convincing your fellow citizens, then your state would change the laws to reflect those views. In Obergefell, the court said, no, we know better than you guys do. And now every state must sanction and permit gay marriage. I think that decision was clearly wrong when it was decided. It was the court overreaching. Whether the court will reverse it, I will say, so in Dobbs, what the Supreme Court said is Roe is different because it's the only one of the cases that involves the taking of a human life, and that's qualitatively different. I agree with that proposition.
Sorry, no,
Okay, not to go back to the abortion debate, but did you see what was in the background?
I didn't. I was looking.
It was a rainbow curtain.
Really?
Look at it. Look at it again. Here we go. Just a few moments here. Well, look over his left shoulder.
If you were in this role as an advocate and
you see that?
No.
If you were in this role as an advocate and Obergefell was in front of the Supreme Court
right
again in some way, what would
right
be the vulnerability of this case? What would be the argument against this case?
I don't see it.
No, you didn't see
A
that?
rainbow? It's green or orange, no?
It's green and orange and red. I swear to God, it's there.
Oh. Is it like I don't know. I don't
know what the hell it is, but it's a rainbow. I see it.
My issue with this is, what do you mean leave it up to this? Leave it up to if you can convince your state that this is a good idea. It's marriage. And I said, I want to correct myself because I said gay marriage earlier. I meant to say same-sex marriage, okay? Same-sex marriage is what I want to call it. He just sounds tone deaf. Like he sounds very, I don't really, it just angers me because, I mean, my line in life, like my tagline throughout life is just mind your business. And I've been saying it since I've stepped foot on this show, ever since my face appeared in this little square on this show. I've said people need to mind their business. You should not care. I should not have to convince you that I should be able to marry this person that I love. Mind your business. Let me get married. Leave me alone. What is my marriage doing to you?
Well,
I don't even understand this. I don't even understand it.
The federal government does have a role to play. This is my philosophy, and obviously Ted Cruz would disagree with this. The federal government has a role to protect rights of a minority. It doesn't matter if 80-90% of your state, whether it be Texas or Louisiana or Wyoming, give me the reddest state that you can find, thinks that marriage exists between one man and one woman, what do you care if there are two women living in your town that are married? How does that affect you? Honestly,
What's
how
so
does that affect
interesting?
you? How does it affect you, Bria?
Absolutely does not affect me. And you know what's crazy? 9 times out of 10, you don't even speak to your next door neighbors.
How does it
9
affect
times out of 10,
you
you don't even
if
know who's in your
if
community.
how does it affect you if your child goes to school with another child who has two dads?
Absolutely does not affect you. At the most, you're gonna get questions, which
Here
will
we go.
change your perspective.
Case closed.
Yeah. At the most, you get questions. But the thing is, those questions are not bad questions because the reality is society is changing. Thank you, Joe. That's what I'm saying in life. Mind your business. Mind your business. Mind your business. I do feel like in certain situations you can't mind your business, but for the most part, mind your business and let people live their lives. Let people live their lives. It will come back to bite you. I don't think people really understand this, but all of the opposers of these bills of these civil rights, like I have to sneeze. So if I sneeze, I'm sorry. My allergies are really kicking my butt. Sorry. Yeah. But like same-sex marriage, abortion laws, contraception, all of these just basic human rights I feel like everyone should have. It's the people who oppose these things don't understand that their grandchildren are going to disagree with them. We live in a society now where it's okay. Most people believe it's okay. Same-sex marriage is not an issue for most people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like people have to come to terms with this. This is just like, I hate to take it back to race, but this is just like all the races of old white people who hated black people, and then their granddaughters or grandsons ended up marrying someone black. It's gonna touch you at some point.
I've said literally
Get on
this.
board.
I've said literally the same thing, Leanne. If you don't believe in abortion, don't have an abortion. If
Yeah.
you don't believe in gay marriage, don't marry someone of the same sex.
I feel like it's gonna come back to bite everyone.
intent.
Because someone has a gay grandson, or someone has a lesbian granddaughter, or bisexual, whatever. Someone has someone in their family that's fluid. Deal with it.
And here's what one of the things that Ted said is that convince people that you are right. Well, you could take that and use it yourself, Ted. Convince people that you're right, that marriage should be between one man and a woman, one man, one woman. Go on the road and promote that idea and convince people that you are right, rather than imposing your beliefs on somebody. If you believe that is right, convince the majority of Americans that is right before you try to impose on people, and before you restrict rights. There's an argument to be made that the state shouldn't be involved in marriages. It's a matter of legal issues. So the fact that this doesn't stop same-sex people from being a couple.
Mm-hmm.
What it affects is their legal status as far as like medical things, as far as inheritance, as far as being able to raise kids together, being able to buy property together. That's what it affects. You could find people that are religiously married to each other, if your religion permits it, and they're considered married, and maybe the state doesn't recognize it. Okay. But so the reason why it's a civil right is because of the legal issues involved.
Right.
I think people know that.
Right.
Anyways.
So in that case, then you're basically keeping people from experiencing the rights that married couples have based on their sexual orientation.
Tax issues. It's a lot of stuff.
And just to this is just an example. when you go to a hospital and you're going to see someone in the hospital, the first thing they ask you is, are you a spouse or a close relative?
What's your next of kin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a spouse or a close relative, or are you next of kin or something like that? And if you are not married to that person,
You might not be let in the room.
might
You
not
might not be let. You might not be able to make decisions for your loved
Just
one
an
who might be
example.
unconscious.
Just an example, one of
Mhm.
those things. Yeah, I just feel like
So
this is
imagine
such a
having that right taken away from you or I.
yeah.
Would we tolerate that?
My thing is
Absolutely not.
what does sex have to do with it? It's strictly it's a Christian view point. It's
Are
a
you talking about
religious
gender or
viewpoint.
sex?
Sex,
both?
like the whole marriages between a man and a woman. Like that's not that's a religious view. That's not if it's just legal paperwork, why can't a man and a man or a woman and a woman be married and it not be an issue? I don't feel like religious viewpoints should be forced on everyone. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
that's not an American thing. That's a religious thing. I guess America
Exactly.
is based in
Well, this is it's a
religion, but
philosophical difference that people think that this is out there and it's being debated right now this summer that
why is
we
there
ought to live under the rules of God, and there's people that say that they wouldn't mind living in a theocracy. So this is out there.
But that's what I mean. It's just like this shouldn't be a legal dispute, or this shouldn't be an issue legally, because marriage in the United States is a marriage and it's bounding by a piece of paper, a marriage certificate. What does gender or sex have to do with that? Or sexual orientation? What does that have to do with it? It's completely irrelevant, in my opinion.
It is.
Which
It
means
is.
that if the people who were running the country weren't running the country, or I'm sorry, creating the laws,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then there, I mean, it's if these weren't the people doing it, it wouldn't matter. Am I right? It's just depending on. I feel like I don't know. I'm just rambling here, but when I really think about it, I'm just like, what the heck does sex and what the heck does a man marrying a man have to
It
do with
doesn't.
marrying each other, signing a marriage
By the
certificate?
way, sometime if people have the time and energy, look up to see what the Bible says about marriage. How many wives did Solomon have?
I will put out that I am a
How many
Christian.
wives did David have? How many look and see the way that marriage was treated in the Bible, and you're going to get a view that is not consistent with culture or what we consider to be Christian nowadays. Okay, just putting that out there.
Yeah. I am a Christian. I just don't believe in forcing my views and my beliefs on people. I feel like people should have a decision.
Well,
And I feel like that's how it
Mormons are
should be.
Christian.
I know. We saw how that turned out.
They
in Utah.
There's a
That's not really
certain
funny at all.
percent there's a small percentage of Mormons who believe in the practice of polygamy. Now that's illegal.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's illegal. So think about that. Should that be so? If we're going to open the door as far as like we should have a Christian country, we should. In all fairness, David wasn't Christian. That's true. But it's in the Bible. So the people that say that we should have a biblical view of marriage are going to have to specify what they mean by biblical view of marriage. Look in the Old Testament and look to see what Jesus says about marriage, because they're different things.
I will not go toe to toe with you on this, because you are much more educated on the Bible than I am.
I'm just saying.
I know a whole lot of verses and stuff, but interpretation, I'm not very, very well versed on. However, I will say that the Mormon, I just watched a documentary on have you ever seen that?
I started. I
Eat
think
and
I know
Pray
what you're
All
saying.
Day?
In Netflix, there's a documentary on Warren Jeffs.
Lord,
It's very interesting.
mean,
It's very
he has
interesting.
like
by the way.
80 wives, and he's still running his church, the FLDS. Is that what's
So
called?
if you're gonna open the door as to like what Judeo-Christian
From
values are,
jail.
then you're gonna have to specify which interpretation of those values are you talking about?
Dumb values ain't coming up in this. No polygamy up
So
here.
it's pretty
You
ignorant
can't pick
to
and
say
choose, though. Is what you're saying.
it's ignorant for like people like Lauren Boebert to say that we should live under a theocracy. Well, whose theocracy are we talking about? Are we talking about the Pope, the Roman Catholic Church? Are we talking about your version of Christianity? And what is that? What is that exactly?
She understands that if we were living in a theocracy, her position wouldn't be her position, right? She basically would lose all of the power that she currently, she thinks she has power. She's basically speaking against her own interest. Does she? I don't think she realizes that. But yeah, it's very frustrating
That's
to
Ted
hear that.
Cruz on same-sex marriage. That could be the next battle line. That could be the next thing that the court looks at. Who knows?
But this isn't the first time we've heard a politician say that there shouldn't be a separation of church and state. And I think it's very.
It's the first time that I can remember
problematic.
where they're being so open about it, though.
Okay, yeah, but her saying it didn't surprise me, especially with what's going on today. I mean, that is believing there shouldn't be a separation of church and state when you're condemning same-sex marriage based on your religious beliefs. When you're saying you're pro-life and you want to deny women the access to quality healthcare, that is believing that there shouldn't be a separation of church and state. Like that, it's not like you're outright saying it, but it's implied. I feel the way the laws are going right now, it's implied that that's the direction most. I won't say most at all, but I feel like that's the direction we're heading in.
I agree with this, Leanne, completely. Jesus didn't go around insisting that people live like he did. He tried to convince them, and he tried to change their minds and hearts. He didn't institute laws that would insist that people follow his commandments.
Right.
Just going to say that.
Yeah.
Well, heat wave. So
Hmm.
there were some startling stories coming out of England. There was they had to shut down the airport. Why did they have to shut down the airport? Not because of air conditioning or whatever, because the tarmacs were melting. The tarmac, the pavement on which the planes take off and land, was too hot and it was melting. So there's places in England, in Great Britain, that shattered their temperatures, their record temperatures, by 3 degrees to 104. Now, around in the United States, there's places that regularly get above 100. Arizona, Texas. You said that was it
113 degrees. Sorry.
Was it 100 in Missouri this week, you said?
Thursday was 102. Today's
Okay.
101.
They're not used to that in
We're
Britain.
not used to
Britain's
that.
further up north. Britain would be, I think, on the same parallel north and south as like Boston, I think it is. So it's not like it is
Yeah.
Alabama or something. So they're just not used to that. And so there was a lot of consternation. People are dying because of the heat, a lack of air and taking care of themselves. It can get dangerous for elderly people, for pets. So there was dozens of people who, in France as well, in Europe and in Germany, that are suffering from this. I guess, when I was listening to this story, they typically they're in Britain, they actually insulate the way they build their houses and buildings, have a certain amount of insulation in them. And because generally speaking, it's colder than it is here. So there's a lot of issues with that. I ran across this story, and this is kind of arbitrary. The average temperature there this time of year is 71. So if you can imagine 30 degrees warmer than average. Al Gore tried to tell us this 30 years ago. Yep, he did. So this is a story from, of all places, Greenland. And it's a short video, but it's 3 minutes long.
It's supposed to be
But
freezing
I
over
wanted
there.
I wanted to show you this. kind of emblematic of what's happening to our planet.
Because it's
Tonight, 7.2 million Olympic-sized swimming pools full of water. That is how much ice melted in Greenland in just 3 days this week during the unprecedented global heat wave. It's enough to cover the entire state of West Virginia with a foot of water. Renee Marsh is out front in Greenland.
Off the coast of northwest Greenland, the water is perfectly still, but puddling on icebergs indicate a transformation is underway. That's the sound of rapid melting, triggered by a few days of unusually warm temperatures. During CNN's first 3 days in northern Greenland, the temperature topped out nearly 10 degrees higher than normal. It's days like today, warm enough to wear short sleeves, near 60 degrees in Greenland. It's a high melt day when it's this unusually warm, and it's also deeply concerning for scientists.
It definitely worries me. We are at 67 latitude here on top of the world in North Pole. And we could just yesterday, especially not today, but yesterday we could wander around in our t-shirts. That was not really expected.
It's basically at the melting point today. As you can see, now I can make snowballs.
At a research site in northeast Greenland, near melt conditions at an elevation of nearly 9,000 feet made what's usually a frozen landing strip inoperable.
They have a problem when it's this soft as the surface is now.
Climate scientist Aslak Grinstead tweeting, mini heat wave, negative 1.6 degrees Celsius in the middle of the Greenland ice sheet. Our planned planes are postponed because our skiway is not that good when it is this warm. Unable to fly out, the scientists passed the time playing volleyball in shorts atop the ice sheet. Pre-global warming, Grinstead says temperatures near 32 degrees Fahrenheit at this altitude were unheard of. The National Snow and Ice Data Center tells CNN from July 15th through 17th alone, a melt surge in northern Greenland caused ice sheet runoff of about 6 billion tons of water per day. That's about the volume of 2.4 million Olympic-sized pools. Put another way, enough water to flood the entire state of West Virginia with 1 foot of water in 3 days.
The amount of melt from the ice was to us was very surprising because it was very warm day. You could even hear the ice was just melting in front of our eyes.
Research scientists tell CNN this extent of melt in North Greenland this past week is quite unusual and will contribute to global sea level rise, which impacts coastal communities half a world away.
So Renee, the visuals here are incredible. When you talk about 6 billion tons of water melted every day over those 3 days this week, it is really impossible to sort of comprehend the staggering size of that. The question is there more to come, or is that the worst?
Well, you know, this is peak melt season, and the answer is yes, there is more to come. The National Snow and Ice Data Center telling CNN that they're expecting another major melt event later on this week, and they actually expect that one to extend to much more of the ice sheet. And Aaron, you know, we've seen it in Europe, many parts of the U.S. there, and even here in Greenland, these heat waves, and we expect to see a lot more of those as the global climate continues to rise. Aaron?
So think about that. So this is Greenland. So if you have a globe or a map at home, look at that. And this is northern Greenland. And this is not only is it northern Greenland, it's at 9,000 feet northern Greenland. And this woman is standing in a short sleeve shirt.
Yeah. I want to say last year there was like a big story about melting in Greenland. Last year, and I think the year before that too. So every year it seems like it's getting worse.
So it is getting worse. And we talk about saving the planet and trying to do something. I think it might be too late. I'm sorry to be pessimistic. It might be too late. We might have to prepare for how the world has changed, I think, rather than we should definitely try to cut carbon emissions so we don't, so that we're able to survive this in the next century. But we're going to have to come up with a plan as to how we live in a changed world, in a changed environment, in a changed climate, I think.
So I agree with this. And I've been saying this, me and dad talk about this often actually, where I am telling him, like, so do you think that the reason why we're getting so many advances with like space and everything, like seeing, they just released new photos from a deep space and it's like extremely detailed. I'm like, do you think they're just trying to find another planet to go to and just leave us all here? Because that's how I feel. I feel like it's getting to a point where I don't feel like there's no effort to save the planet. Instead, they're just looking for a new one because
Uh,
there's no way to save it. I truly feel like that. I truly do feel that way. Um, yeah, and this is not new. This is something that we talk about every year. Climate change is real, and it seems like, of course, like this should not be a partisan issue. This shouldn't be a issue that's separated by parties, but it seems, as in this country anyway, it seems like Republicans hate to believe it. They don't want to believe it. They deny it. And then you have Democrats that are like, hey, this is happening. This is actually a thing. Why is this even a party issue? Why is this not a unified thing? Like, why are we not united on this? Let's save the freaking planet.
yeah,
Weird.
it's interesting because I think if we are honest with ourselves and we we can all agree that there's a problem. There's partisan politics, and there's energy interest and energy lobbyists and the money and the here and now. We look at we have our blinders on as far as like our generation, our children's generation, and maybe our grandchildren's generation. Beyond that, we don't think about these things, and we haven't for maybe ever. Human beings just don't. They don't think about existentially in the future, like 100 years from now. And
In terms of climate, in terms of
in terms of climate, in terms of anything, where are we going to be in 50 years, in 75 years, in 100 years? We don't think about that. Do you think about that? We
I
think
do.
about
I
how
think
are we
it's
going to pay
scary.
the bills.
I
And
do.
the older you get, the less you think about it. It's just natural.
Hmm.
You do. And I should more. I used to. I admit this. I used to think more about the future. I used to think more about climate change. I used to think in my 20s, God, we need to do something about this. My children aren't going to be able to grow up. And now I got children. I got a 20-year-old. And so the time to do something was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not, we could do things, but we should also prepare for a changed world.
I was gonna say there's nothing we can do at this point of about that. And I feel like what we're gonna see, what are we gonna just see like a really over time a huge rise in like the sea level? Is that is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, and it sounds like okay, so there's a rise in sea level.
Yeah,
So
Joe,
so
I
the
agree.
temperature raises a degree. Okay.
No,
What
but
does
that
that
no, that's
mean?
for
But
climate. That's a
you have
huge.
to ask scientists, what does that mean? And they will show you what that means. They
Yeah.
will show you forest burning up. They will show you because we depend on forest
Mhm.
for a
That's true.
lot.
Air.
Our planet will not be livable if there was no rainforest, if there was no uh, forest in North America or Europe. We would not survive that. Our children should be mad, and they are mad. I know children that are mad. My children's generation, they are mad. And the problem with these big existential things is we all have to agree. We all have to do something big, and we're not willing to do something big. We're not willing to inconvenience ourselves. We're not willing to pay 50 cents more at the pump to develop green energy. We're not. We're still not. People
But even
get
if we
mad.
were,
I cannot believe this is and this makes me mad. I cannot believe like whenever the gas prices raise 30 cents, it's as if the world is ending for people around here. Oh my God, I can't believe how much more I'm paying at the pump. Well, you know what? There's people with a lot more serious problems than how much gas prices are. And people are damn selfish in this country. People are damn selfish in this country.
I'll admit
And
that I
I
was
and
only
there I said it.
last week. I was complaining about
It
the gas
makes me
prices.
mad when I hear people complaining about gas prices. You could be in Ukraine right now. You could be starving to death on the streets in India, and you have nothing better to do but complain that you're spending 20, 30 cents more per gallon when you're burning up the earth. Just
You ain't
forget
lying.
it.
I feel terrible now that you say it like that. I feel terrible because I'll tell you, I was just complaining about the gas prices just yesterday, probably, and the day before.
Well,
In fact,
I
I
don't
think
mean
I'm
to
about to pull my
I don't
bike
mean
off
to call you
and
out.
just
I don't mean to call
no,
you out.
you ain't wrong.
And
You're absolutely right. You're
I'm just
absolutely
like
right.
everyone
Don't
else.
apologize.
I contribute to global warming, probably just as much as anyone else. We try to recycle. We drive fuel um, economically sound cars for like a decade now. But my carbon footprint isn't much lower than anyone else's, I don't think. So we are all in this together. We are
I'm
all
just
to blame
saying,
together.
you're absolutely right. The least of our I mean, we're worrying about gas prices, and there are things going on in the world that are just we wouldn't even experience in this country. Well, we might now. We don't know what's going to happen to America, right? Looking at our current situation. But yeah, I mean, gas is pretty trivial if you really think about it. But I don't know what's going to happen to the earth. I really don't. I think that in our I used to think that in our lifetime we wouldn't really see the drastic changes, but I think that we will. I think that we are seeing the drastic
We
changes.
are. We
Um,
are.
that's wild because and I think that we're just like, "Oh, this is a hot summer," you know? This is like, "Wow, this is hot." But I don't think we're realizing like, "Ah, the earth is burning." Like, why is that not clicking to some of the I think it's a lot obviously it has everything to do with money. Um, even if all of us, normal folk were to be okay with saving energy, it really would depend on the huge billion-dollar industries that
Thank you.
run the country and are
Did you
actively
see this comment
ruining.
before you said that?
No, I'm reading it just not. That says the visual.
You
Oh,
you 2
Leanne,
you
we're
2 are
literally.
you 2 are definitely of the same mind because like literally she posted that
As I was saying it,
completing
Leanne,
your
exactly my
thought.
point. Summed it up right there. Us as
No,
individuals
this
cannot fix
that
it.
I
It's
mean
done by the
that
manufacturers.
thank you for saying that. We can only go so far as individuals and as households. We might recycle everything that we can. We might ride our bike to work, but really, uh,
Funny.
the big significant things that can really change things are done by industry.
Yeah.
So
And it's not like they don't know. I mean, these companies, they have to have scientists that give them that tell them about this. That's their job. You can't just go and drill somewhere. You have to have a you give me a scientist that would have to they have to look at the geography. They have to look at the weather. They have to
Neil
look at
deGrasse Tyson. I don't know.
no, but I mean, like, you have your engineers and your scientists that help you run your company. They tell you where to go
No,
and what to do and where
they
to.
have yes men, and by men I mean men. They have yes people that will give them the data that they want to see.
Well, but
You don't
you
think
see what I'm
the
saying? Like,
geologist that works
geologist.
for
My brain isn't working
ExxonMobil
today, y'all, but
is
you
going
know
to
what I'm
tell
trying to say.
them you don't think that the people that work for ExxonMobil aren't going to tell them what they want to hear?
Did you just think of that, or did she say that? Are you guys thinking this again? Did you see her write Exxon?
You don't think that they're going to give them what they want to hear? I mean,
No,
come
I'm
on.
saying, did you see her write ExxonMobil, or was she typing as you were saying it? I think we're all on
She
the
was
same
typing
accord
as I
here,
was said
man.
it. Maybe you know what?
Because this is a common
Maybe
thought
I think
process. Like,
you might be right, Bria. We might need to have somebody with a completely different point of view on this show because we agree too much.
But we're
We all
right.
we're
But
all
no, this is
we're
a
all agreeing too
common.
much.
This
We're like
is,
we're speaking to the choir.
but honestly though, seriously, on a really serious note, this is real. This is it's not like I'm saying, these companies, these manufacturers, these oil drilling companies, the leaders of the money holders, the big deep pocket companies, industries in the world, they know what's going on, but they don't care because it cuts their dollar too much. It cuts what they're making too much. And I mean, these people have enough money for the forever. Like they could never
And
spend
by
all
the
the money
way,
they have.
in a related
And
topic, there's
power
no
is
way
another
that you
part of it.
yes. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
In a related topic, there's no way that you can convince me that there is not price gouging going on.
I agree with that.
So let's talk about something different, completely different,
Price gouging.
completely off the completely left turn here.
Oh yeah.
So we mentioned this before the show. We decided that we were going to make this a part of the show. So this is how we're going to end it. So, Peel.
Right. Can I say
Um,
something first?
go ahead.
I'm sorry, to it's not about Nope. It's actually about the hospitals, horror hospital stories we were talking about earlier. If you guys are out there and I I don't know which network this is coming on, but there's a documentary called Aftershock, and it's actually discussing the mortality rates of Black women in hospitals and maternity wards. So Black women giving birth are more likely to die during childbirth than any other demographic. Um, and a lot of times it's because we're not believed about our pain. It's seen as being dramatic, or um, they just want to give us a Tylenol or something and think our chest pain will go away. A lot of times women are either having internal bleeding, pulmonary embolisms, HELP syndrome, and mothers are dying. And it's been happening for a long time, And this documentary called Aftershock follows the families two families, both of which lost the mother. There was a mother. The women were giving birth and they died during childbirth, and it shows the aftershock. That shows the rippling effects that the families are left with now that the mother has passed away. And I think one of these pregnancies was documented from when she first found out to when she was going into labor, and she passed away. And one of them died 2 weeks after birth from pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in her lungs, I believe. Yeah. So it's very important for us to be educated on this topic because it is real. It's not an imaginary thing. Black women die so frequently, and I'm talking about even in the best hospitals. I don't know if you guys remember Judge Hatchett. Her daughter-in-law passed away during childbirth. She had internal bleeding. No one believed her that something was wrong with her. She bled out inside of her body. Like, she had internal bleeding and she died after childbirth. So these are things that she was in one of the best hospitals in the country. So I think she's at Cedar Mount Sinai in Los Angeles, or California. So it's something that and not only women. Black infant mortality is higher in hospitals also. And I'm in an organization called Mocha Moms, and because of the pandemic, we haven't done it in 2 years, but we used to do this Black infant mortality walk that brought awareness to the high rates of Black infants dying in hospitals after childbirth. Just want to put that out there. But yeah, it's called Aftershock. Let me look and see if I can find the network. I'll put the network in the comment section. But we can go back to Nope now. I just want to put that out there because we were talking about it earlier, and I meant to mention it and I did not mention it. But it's a very important topic. It's really sad. It's happening. I've had 2 babies, and each time I was absolutely terrified of whether I was going to make it out or not, just because of the fact that I'm a Black woman giving birth in a hospital where I didn't see not one Black patient or Black doctor.
Really? So there was no person of color who was a nurse?
Nope.
Even?
Nobody.
Really?
Nope. The
Wow.
hospital that I gave no, I'm sorry. At Logan, when I gave birth to Logan, I came to Cleveland to give birth. And I didn't mean to come to Cleveland to give birth, but I
You
think
just
God
happened to
meant
be in
for me to be
Ohio.
there. Because the hospital that I was at, I
Just
don't
out
think
of
that would have been okay.
curiosity, what hospital in Cleveland? 'Cause
I gave birth at Hillcrest. It was amazing. They
Okay.
absolutely showed me so much love and
I
so
know
much
where that
care.
is. Okay.
My stepmom used to work there, and I tell you, that was the best experience. It was the best experience, even though it was unexpected. With my daughter Fallon, the one I gave birth to in Kansas,
Yeah.
I will.
It was in
That was a very
Kansas or Kansas City?
Kansas, Olathe, Kansas.
Okay.
I live in Kansas City, but we gave birth in a hospital in Kansas.
Okay.
And that hospital, I mean, they have a very low percentage of Black patients. I mean, honestly, the first time I went in there for a fetal stress test just days before I gave birth, and they didn't even bother to change my race on the paper. They had me listed as a white woman.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
They didn't even bother to change it.
I
And
remember
then
you
when I
talking
got
about that.
there, it was a really crazy experience. I mean, partially because I was actually pushing my child out and when we got to the door of the hospital, but the hustle and bustle and then they were giving me medication that I didn't even authorize for them to give to me, nor my husband did not either. Nor did my husband. The treatment was, I honestly was like, I don't know what's gonna happen to me up in here. So now, whenever we have our next child, we will probably be having a home birth, probably. Long time from now, but I'm just
Are you
saying.
planning on having another child?
In the future, not right now, maybe in another few years. I'm thinking we want to have
Okay.
like 4. But anyway, moving on. I just wanted to put that out there. Aftershock is the name of the documentary. It's really good. It's definitely a tearjerker. You're gonna cry, but it's really important for us to be aware of these things. Okay.
Thank you for that plug.
You're welcome. Nope. So Nope is the movie
So
by Jordan Peele.
we don't mean to promote this movie, but just happened to talk about it because
Interesting.
it looks different, and it is different, and so we're gonna look at the trailer, and it is out now. This is a movie by Jordan Peele, who's the director of this, and it's in the horror sci-fi genre, but it also has some other elements to it.
If you don't know, Jordan Peele he did the movie Get Out, which was a huge blockbuster movie. He did the movie Us. So a lot of his movies have like some undertone of like racial something to do with society. And sidebar, our town is having a pro-choice rally tomorrow. I want to go, but I'm nervous about it. I'm in a small conservative town and I teach Sunday school and religious education, so I worry that there will be backlash. Am I overthinking it? You're not overthinking it, Leanne, in my opinion. I don't think you're overthinking it. I think it's a decision to make. It's a big decision because these children's parents may not agree with your views, but it's what you believe. So I think you should do it.
I'll go with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, not saying. Can you document that? Do you think you could do a video or something if you did go?
Yep.
Tomorrow. What is
I did not know about
Sunday.
this. I did not know about this, Leanne. So
Because you guys live in the same town.
We do, and I did not know about this. So, if it's happening, I'm gonna go.
Take the bottom line with you.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to, if you could.
But I think that it's understandable that you would worry about that there would be backlash, but I think you should go anyway.
Yeah, that's a big decision to make. I don't think you're overthinking it at all, not one bit. But applause to you. Hats off to you for standing up for women's rights. Absolutely.
So here we go with this movie trailer.
Did you know that the very first assembly of photographs to create a motion picture was a 2-second clip of a black man on a horse? And that man is my great-great-grandfather.
Great.
There's another great grandfather. But that's why back at the Haywood Ranch, as the only black-owned horse trainers in Hollywood, we like to say since the moment pitches could move, we had skin in the game.
What's a bad miracle? They got a word for that.
Yeah, nah.
So I've watched this trailer maybe 17, 20, 30 times. I don't know what the
Wow.
movie's about. Like, it just came out yesterday. I don't know what it's about. Like, I honestly can't. From
You know
that,
what? I
all
want to
that
see
information-
this. I want to see this. I want to see it in the theater. I will go by myself and see this.
I want to
I-
know.
I-
what it's
I
like.
gotta
I
see
want
it.
to see it too.
I want to see it.
Because it's like Jordan Peele, he has such a way with drawing you in. Yeah, Close Encounter vibes. Hi, Jeff.
Definitely Close Encounter vibes. Very well done trailer. God, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, it just makes so
Mm.
I don't know if you remember watching the Us trailer. I don't know if you ever saw that. I didn't watch Us. It was too scary for my liking. I didn't even try to watch it. But I did see the trailer and I saw the previews of it, and I'm just like, for a long time, I just didn't understand what the movie was about until it came out and people were talking about it. I was like, okay, cool. You got this group of people, you got this family, and they look exactly like this other family in some sort of situation. So I know what the movie's about. This movie, looking at it, I'm having the same dilemma. I have no idea what this movie's about. I'm picking up aliens,
There's aliens.
horses,
Aliens.
but it can't just be aliens because Jordan Peele is not predictable at all. It has to be some underlying some sort of statement about society, something.
Oh, definitely.
Because he's that kind of producer, and I'm just thinking like,
You could do both. You could do it
what
all.
is it? Aliens and what? What kind of aliens are these? Like,
The less you see, the more mysterious it is, and the more it draws you in.
there's definitely going to be a conclusion. Like I was saying, like, I hope it's not a cliffhanger. It won't be a cliffhanger. I don't think Jordan Peele's that type of movie producer, but I do think that it's going to be something that's going to be super shocking. It came out yesterday. I've been trying not to get on any social media because I don't want to get spoilers. Like, I don't want to get anything spoiled for me from the movie because I really do want to see it.
Okay.
But
So
what
are you guys going to go
is
see it
happening?
out there? Just let us know. And if you have seen it already,
That's my daughter.
just let us know what you thought of it. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I want to see that movie. Because I mean, like, okay, so I mean, the aliens, are they? Hi. Oh, your hands are sticky. My daughter. I'm gonna say hi. Hello. Hi. Everyone's up.
Hi.
But yeah, so I want to see the movie. I'll let you know how. Oh, you're gonna go see it too eventually, I assume, at some point.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would love
gonna
to
go
have a
see
discussion
it.
about this because people say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So what's your bottom line? Oh, hey Jeffrey, this is exactly what Darren said. I'm gonna mute real quick.
It is very much similar to M. Night Shyamalan's movies.
This is exactly what you
This
said.
is like Signs. If you've seen Signs, it has aliens in Signs, yet the movie isn't necessarily about aliens. I think this is going to be similar to that, where there's aliens in the movie, although it's not necessarily about an alien takeover. There's going to be a lot more character and story in that. So, and I like Signs, by the way.
Yeah. And now I was telling Darren like with the M Night movies, I cannot say the first part for some reason. I can never get it right. But yeah, the movies he's come out with recently have just been too scary for me. I saw one. I was saying like I used to be able to see the movies and be like, oh yeah, I can sleep at night. I could not sleep for a week after I saw Hereditary. I was done. Like when I tell you, I was falling asleep at my desk. Like I could not get it together.
Wow.
I could not sleep at night. The movie was so scary, and I love scary movies, but I couldn't get it together. Yeah.
You know, it's getting a good scary movie is rare nowadays, because it's all been done, and you know, slasher movies have been done and overdone, so it's all been done. So it's hard to get something new and fresh that's scary. So I think this might fit the bill.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
There's
So
been
what's your
a
bottom
few
line?
things. I'm trying to think of that movie that came out a few years ago. That anyways. So bottom line, we talked about such a diverse amount of topics this week. So, mind your business, maybe. Take care of your own stuff before you criticize your neighbor. Try to take out the little speck, the little log in your eye, the big log in your eye before you try and take the speck out of your neighbor's. That's wise words that will always be applicable for all time.
Yeah.
And we have people that want to impose their will and take away rights in this country, and we will fight against that.
Very well said. My bottom line is really just to men and women really consider contraception. Okay, I want to just go out and say it. I was gonna say condoms and birth control pills, but let's just say contraception. It's really important right now, because if you do not intend to get pregnant, right now is the time for you to really take advantage of your contraceptive options, because as we know, this is a war on women's bodies. It's a war on choice. This is a war on quality health care for women. So I honestly would say men and women. I know some men who have gone out and gotten vasectomies, okay? This is important because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to defend yourself against the system that is rigged against you. So get your birth control. We know that, I honestly hate to say this, but they are coming after contraception. I believe that, there are being a lot of bills passed right now to protect contraceptive rights. However, let's just be real about it. I do feel like they're coming for contraception. Makes no sense, but I do feel like that's coming. So get your Plan B pills, get your birth control pills, stock up on your condoms, get your, if you can get an IUD through your insurance. I've had one before. It was great. Not trying to, give a sex ed class here, but listen, even get yourself a basal temperature thermometer for women. You can test your temperature every day. Just put the thermometer under your tongue so you know when you're ovulating. For those of you who have a regular cycle, just take advantage of your options right now, because this is not.
They're not playing.
A war on women right now. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't said this on the show because I feel like maybe it's too personal, but I'm going to say it today right now. Take advantage of your options, because there's no more time left. We're out of time. We gotta.
The privacy issues are. We're starting to talk about this stuff,
yeah,
and we're starting to find out some things. Men need to educate themselves. And by the way, med take initiative as far as like it's not all on the woman as far as birth control. Take some initiative. And I just got to say this. What idiots against birth control?
Well, apparently a lot of
Who doesn't like Bria, I just want to be real. Who doesn't like birth control out there?
old sexist white men. Just gonna be honest. And
Well, what
Clarence
is
Thomas.
bad? What is
Clarence
bad
Thomas.
about birth
Sorry,
control?
Clarence Thomas.
What is bad about it? It's like, can you think of a better invention? Toilet paper is better because you use it every day, more than once. Well, what is a better invention?
Well, let's just be real about it.
If you don't want to get pregnant, you can have sex and not get pregnant. What is better?
Well, let's talk about why birth control is even
What
a
is
thing.
better?
Birth control is a thing because it gave women the right to choose when they wanted to have children. It gave them opportunities to advance in their careers and have a fulfilling career and a life, and prolong having children. And that's why it's a problem. I mean, if we really want to talk about the whole what is it? This preservation of race.
So you're saying that men,
about it.
so these people who don't like contraception, they don't have any involvement in raising a child.
Well,
I
that's
don't
not true.
want
We
I don't
know-
want
we
12
know-
children. I don't want 12 children, Bria.
we-
So therefore, birth control. I just want to be real. What kind of idiot doesn't like birth control?
The
Do you
kind that wanna
want to
control
have a
beliefs
a
and beliefs
child
in
every
everybody.
time that you engage in sex? I'm sorry if this
No.
is too personal, but this is I just have to ask this question. This is something I've been wondering about. What kind of idiot doesn't like birth control? I'm sorry.
I mean, I would say we know.
I just gotta say
the
it.
problem
I
with
just
birth
gotta say it.
control. The reason why birth control was invented was to give women opportunities. So it started out as giving women opportunities to like I said, advance their careers, think about life, have a choice, right? Oh, and so procreation, birth control.
Yes, that is 1,000% correct, Bria. But it also affects men. So what idiot out there doesn't like birth control? That's bullshit, Leanne.
Well, this is at a time where men wanted their wives at home.
Real Catholics don't actually believe that.
Well, I will say this though. This is also the truth. It started out as that, but
I'm sorry.
it evolved over time.
Real people don't believe that.
I agree with that. I would say today it's not about that. Today it is not about. Today birth control should be an option for men and women, in my opinion. I think that the option for birth control being solely placed on the woman, unfortunately, that's the reality we're in. But they need to get some birth control pills for men. They need to get some birth control methods other than vasectomies and condoms for men, in my opinion. It shouldn't just be on the woman.
Yes, thank you.
Excuse me. Unfortunately, though, right now, that's where we are. And that's why I'm encouraging women
I'm
to take
sorry
advantage.
to bring it up. I'm sorry if this was too much.
You're right. No, I
much.
brought it up because it's important. I avoided every single show. When you guys ask me on my bottom line, I'm like, I don't know. Yes, Joe, men. Yes, Joe. Men need birth control pills, especially the men
I care
who
about
have
this.
a whole bunch of babies out here and don't have any plan on taking care of them. They just out here.
I don't want 12
The
children.
Nick Cannons
I don't
of the
want
world
15 children.
well, Nick Cannon actually takes care of all his kids, all 50 of them. However, there should be birth control for men, but the side effects are too much for them. Oh, Leanne, the side effects. What are they getting? Like cramps and like bloating? Is that why were you serious?
I want to be just to make a serious comment. There are other reasons to be on birth control pills other than
There
not
are.
getting pregnant, by the way, because it's a hormonal thing. So there are women out there who take birth control pills who are not sexually active, by the way.
It's
There are
regulated
young
teenagers.
teenagers who take it so that they can function, so that they are not like in total pain once a month. Just to be real.
Thanks, Joe. No, I will speak to that. I was one of those people.
Just to be real.
I'm actually one of those Before I started taking red raspberry leaf tea, I was on birth control every month to regulate a cycle. I have a very highly irregular cycle,
Yes.
like 50-day, meaning for those to
It-
understand.
by the way, that's
50
pretty
days between.
common.
Yeah.
So there's
So
other
I'm
reasons.
totally with you.
There's other reasons to be on birth control pills other than not getting pregnant. Just wanted to put that out there.
But for today's purpose, I would say get your birth control because the government is not playing. It's not just about abortions. It is about them recording the fact that you're pregnant, them reporting when you're no longer pregnant, them able to bring up criminal charges on you for aborting it if they suspected to have aborted your pregnancy. That ain't no joke. Yeah. So anywho, that's my bottom line. And I'm just like,
I'm sorry if I said too much. I said too much.
I think that it's important to say because I agree with you.
I'm just
Birth
being
control
real.
is an important thing. I feel like birth control is something that every home that doesn't plan on having children should have some sort of birth control. And I mean, there are a ton of birth control methods out there. Some sort of birth control should be being used. And I honestly feel like that's for the people who don't believe in birth control, they're either brainwashed, or crazy. Period. The end.
Well, with that being said, what more can be said, right?
Nothing else. I think
Nothing
that's
else.
the bottom
After
line
that,
for
yeah,
today.
that's the bottom line. All
But
right.
yeah, I will see you next week, and everyone will see
Thank you
next
for
week.
supporting
Thank
the
you for tuning
show.
in.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and share it if you can. Take care, everyone out there. Peace.
Peace.
Go ahead, Bria.
All right, I do this every single show. Gonna get us out right today.